Hey guys, the story this week is about Jeremiah and his letter to the exiles, and I just want you to, for a second, to imagine yourself that you're one of these exiles. I want you to try to pretend that you can feel some of the things they feel. I want you to try to get into their head and try to get into their heart and try to understand some of the things that they were experiencing. Imagine that your worst enemy had come in and they had sacked your city. They had torn down your place of worship. They had just torn it to the ground. And in the process of sacking your place of worship, tearing it to the ground, they had ripped your family apart. Husband ripped from wife. Sister ripped from brother. Friend ripped from friend. And to top it off, to add insult to injury, they had taken you captive and they had carried you off to a wasteland, to a foreign land. One of the psalmists kind of puts it like this. The people were in such despair, the people were so hopeless that they had hung their instruments in the trees. They didn't want to play their instruments before the Lord anymore. They just couldn't muster up the strength. Or it says that their tongues were seized to the top of their mouths. They didn't even have a song in them. They couldn't get songs out. They couldn't lift voices of praise to God anymore. They were just that much in despair. They were in that much darkness. Things were just that bad for them. Imagine all of that. Imagine being like that in exile. You would give up all hope. God knows this. God knows what's in their heads. He knows what's in their hearts. He knows what they're feeling and what they're thinking. So he sends this prophet Jeremiah, and Jeremiah writes this letter to them. He writes this letter that gets delivered into the captivity, gets delivered into exile where they are. And in this letter, Jeremiah gives them some instructions. He says, pray for peace. I don't want you to pray for rescue. I want you to pray for peace. Pray that the city that you're in, that it would prosper. Pray for the general welfare of the city. Pray that it would thrive, because when it thrives, you will thrive. So instead of praying for rescue, instead of praying to get out of the situation that you're in, trying to pretend like it's not there, Jeremiah says, don't do that. Pray for peace. Pray for the general welfare of the city. I want you to multiply in the city. I want you to multiply life in the city. When it thrives, you will thrive. He goes on to tell them, God has a plan for you. Plans not to harm you, plans not to hurt you, but plans to make you prosper. Plans that are good for you. Plans that you'll see God and you'll see what He's doing in your life. Plans for a hope. Plans for a future. So that's that story in short. I want to switch to a different story just for a second. A different exile story. It happened a couple thousand years ago. Jesus exiled Himself from heaven. And in this particular exile, Jesus leaves behind everything that He knows. He leaves behind the good things of heaven. He leaves behind His throne for a time. He puts everything aside and He chooses to enter into a wasteland. He chooses to enter this place, to enter our world, a world He had created, but a world that we had messed up. He exiles Himself from heaven so that He can come and be here. And what does He do? He chooses to be a life giver in that place. Not to be rescued from that place, or from this place, but to be a life giver. He prays for peace for the people. He prays for our good welfare. He comes and lives out His Luke 4 mission. He chooses to be life and chooses to be love and chooses to be hope in a place that doesn't even like Him, a place that would rather see Him dead than alive. So as an exile himself, he chooses life because he knows that choosing life, choosing love will bring life and love to that place, to this place as well. Both of these stories are stories about resurrection, the start of resurrection. It's about God taking what's dead, God taking what's broken, God taking what's lifeless, God taking the wasteland and turning it into something beautiful. So here's my challenge for you this week. Here's my challenge for myself. And it's kind of weird, but I think it's a good challenge. We should choose to be exiles. We should choose to lay aside what's comfortable, to lay aside what makes us feel good, and instead choose to be exiles in a wasteland, hoping and praying and with all of our might, with all of our strength, with all of our prayers, serving God, saying, hey, we're going to be life givers in this place. We're going to bring love into this place. It's no secret that our world seems like it's in shambles right now. So let's choose to be life givers, choose to be love givers, choose to be people of the resurrection, breathing new life into the world around us through the power of the Holy Spirit, through the power of Jesus. Guys, I love you all. Hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Grace and peace.